It's the Fellowship of the Geeks Show, brought to you through the support of the following: Awesome Comics at GalaxyColledDallas.com, SciFiFX.com, and Voodoo Gingerbread Graphics. Music courtesy of FreePlayMusic.com. You can contact the Fellowship at email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. And now, on with the show! Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Fellowship of the Geeks broadcast for May 7th, 2013. As we have feedback here. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining us via Google Hangout is Mike Marlowe.
Hello.
Les Webster.
Hi.
And please welcome back James Pickering from the website A Galaxy Called Dallas.
I didn't know how long I was going to be able to hold that.
That's why it does me laugh.
That hurt.
Welcome back, man. We've missed you. We've missed you a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. Good to be back. It's amazing, what ditching the kid will let me do. So, because I can tell you right now, if she was here, you'd be hearing "Uppy Daddy," and she'd be sitting right here.
Well, we wouldn't mind her input. Maybe she has some thoughts and feelings about the comic industry.
Well, like I said, I've already told you what happened on Free Comic Book Day, so we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Boy, that feedback is really bad.
Well, and we are live on the YouTube channel, so.
Yeah, cool.
So watch your P's and Q's.
Yes, definitely. We are going a different route with the show. As Mike likes to say, we're going to be a little bit more structured now. We're hoping to cover a few more things instead of spending our time talking about one particular subject. So, is there anything? No, we don't.
We do.
No, we don't.
You say structure is great for kids.
Exactly. See?
Of all ages.
Anyway. Anything? Anybody? Would anybody like to say anything before we go ahead and start off the show tonight?
Like I said, like we already talked about, I'm glad to be back. Because what's it been? 2-3 months? 4 months? I just been back before Christmas. Yeah, that's almost 5 months.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I'm definitely glad to be back. I don't have a lot of people to talk sci-fi or comic books with, and the ones I do, they don't tend to stick around very long. So.
Why is that?
Restraining orders, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They say you can talk to anybody at a grocery store, but it's a lie.
It's not true.
Only for so long until security shows up.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and mention the big item of the day. The unfortunate passing of Ray Harryhausen at the age of 92.
First of all, I'm amazed that he was 92 years old. I didn't even know he was still alive.
I'll be quite honest. He had been out of the public eye for so long. I wasn't sure. What has not been said about this man? He took stop motion animation and he
was a pioneer.
He was a pioneer.
Well, the fact that also somebody mentioned, seeing him for the first time doing Clash of the Titans, and the fact that he'd already been around for 50 years before Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
And Sinbad and the Lost Voyages, Jason and the Argonauts, The Lost World, just so many different things that he'd been a part of, and yet still be relevant to. Of course, Clash of the Titans came out, just short before I graduated high school, and then even after that, to come around and still be relevant in the movies of kids today. Somebody made a comment on one of my Facebook feeds about the Corpse Bride, the Tim Burton movie, and how they did an homage to Harryhausen. And supposedly one of the scenes had a piano that was called Harryhausen, or that had the name Harryhausen on it. Just little things like that, to be in the movie industry that long and be relevant to so many decades worth of moviegoers. That's a true testament, to his legacy and everything.
I saw Ray Harryhausen at San Diego Con, I think it was around 2008. He was there for signings. The man was very cordial and considerate to anyone and everyone that came up and asked question after question, of which I was one. You look at his listing for his films, and it is amazing, and I think most will agree his biggest impact was Jason and the Argonauts, specifically the fight scene with the skeletons. That amazed a lot of different people, including myself. Of course, one of my favorites was 20 Million Miles to Earth with the Emir. I enjoyed that one so much. But the influence, and according to your listing on the Fellowship website, there was Mighty Joe Young, which they won an Academy for special effects, and he was the influence to so many of the movie moguls now. And I thought that was very considerate. I thank you for listing some of those so people understand where they get some of their ideas, although stop action is not that prevalent at this time.
Yep.
People want to get a really good feel for the industry and everything. There's a movie that he was in just this last year called Sci-Fi Boys, and it's a documentary about the movie industry and all the different people that took place in it. Peter Jackson, Ray Harryhausen, Leonard Maltin, Forrest J. Ackerman, John Landis, Dennis Muren, Rick Baker, Roger Corman, Ray Bradbury. All these guys are actually in it, putting in their 2 cents about the industry, and I think it's really cool to have him in there too, because a lot of times he gets overlooked in sci-fi in general unless you're specifically talking about the how-tos of it. And to me, that's a big disservice, because if it weren't for him, some of these movies would have never seen the light of day, because, like George Lucas said about wanting to do Star Wars, a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do, there was no technology for it. Same thing with Harryhausen. If he hadn't have been there to do the stop motion the way he was doing it, there were some movies that would have never got made.
Yep.
Because there was just no way to put it out there.
The last collection I think they had also for Harryhausen included did it not include the tales, the Aesop tales?
Aesop Fables?
Yes. The Hare and the Tortoise was one of them, I believe, and he just did these small ones, just 5 to 10 minutes.
Did that one. There was another short that, in fact, The Tortoise and the Hare was done in 2002. There's a documentary called The Early Years Collection from 2005, and I think that back Sci-Fi Boys wasn't last year; it was 2006. But yeah, the little shorts and everything that he was a producer on. It's pretty cool. Were you giving me
Very
the finger?
interesting stuff.
Or a couple of them.
Do what?
So were you giving me the finger? What was that?
No. Mikey, thoughts?
I don't have the technical knowledge to follow those two, but I mean, I will remind everybody that the man stayed in the business as long as he did, which is, I mean, utterly amazing. And I mean, he managed to stay relevant for that long, doing special effects. I mean, even into the computer age. And I mean, how can you argue with that? That's a legacy and a half right there.
Well, he learned from Willis O'Brien, who did King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an assistant to him, and so it was not like he was just somebody that popped into vision all of a sudden. He paid a lot of dues before he was able to get his own productions into swing.
Right. He learned a craft that was there and then expanded on it for 50, 60 years.
Yeah, he's. I mean, y'all said it. The first movie I saw that I was Clash of the Titans, but I quickly saw his other movies and just been fascinated with his work. And God, some of that stuff looks more realistic than what they're doing with CGI nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's because they're taking pictures of real things instead of just digital renderings.
True. So, it seems like we've been saying this a lot about people who've been passing, but a legend, another legend that's gone, and it's truly an end of an era. Because no one's really doing that type of special effects again. Who knows? I know over the weekend there was a special viewing for the 30th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which makes me feel old. And Mark Hamill had shown up, and of course they were talking. You know, he did a little one-on-one in front of the audience and all that, and they were asking about episodes 7, 8, 9, of course. And one of the things that he mentioned, he says he really hopes that they move back to more practical effects and not just be total CGI. He hopes that they really do that, and supposedly he got the assurance from Kathleen Kennedy of Lucasfilm that's what she's wanting to do. That she had actually talked to George Lucas about the time that he was bowing out and she took over and all that. So hopefully episodes 7, 8, and 9 will have a lot more practical effects and more sets.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they could build a set. That would be great.
Well, yeah, that's what he's talking about. Because one of the examples he used was the whole Dagobah set. About the fact that there was actually water there that he had to walk around and the trees and all that kind of stuff. That instead of just being this green screen with just objects around, saying, "Okay, this is where we're going to."
Wait a minute. Physical sets are nothing but a crutch to an actor that can't act. Sorry, just trying to see if I can rile up some viewers.
You can't even say that with a straight face. Come on.
No. But, well, actually, you think about that. He says, you got stuff to walk around and everything, and I'm like, you're an actor. You're on a green screen. Imagine that water there. No, I understand what he's saying, and But and also it lends a credibility to the actual what you're viewing. What was it? Peter Jackson was talking about. What Peter Jackson shot with the 42 frame rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there were so many people saying that you could tell that the things were not real because it was so much more of an actual real view that you could tell what effects were not real. You could tell where the prosthesis on the orcs ended and the actual actor underneath began. So getting back, of course, that's probably not even close to what I'm trying to say. When you are using CGI, it's supposed to be a fantastical setting and everything, but you do want a little bit of reality added to it. You want to be able to see them actually, like you said, the Dagobah set, touching the plant, splashing through the water, and not have to, look at it and go, oh, that's CGI.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I applaud him for saying that, and hopefully they'll do that. But who knows? But getting back, it's just a real loss, and of course our thoughts and condolences go to his family and friends and his millions of fans that are out there. Okay, moving on. Of course, we know last weekend was Free Comic Book Day. Last Saturday. Too bad this is not Feel-O-Vision, but never mind. Oh, wow. So I kind of want to go over a little bit how things went. Let me ask you, James, because you're the one that went to several places, and I want to see how different stores handle things, and what was your overall experience?
Well, I have to preface, my daughter, I'm rubbing off on my daughter a lot. The night before, we're watching the news, and one of the news channels does a little thing about Free Comic Book Day, and my daughter, who's going on 3.5 now, sucks in a big breath of air and goes, "Daddy, are we going to get comic books?" And I'm like, "Yes, darling. Yes, we are. We're going to get comic books." And, I mean, she was up the next morning. She was ready to go. We stopped off at Comic Book Craze, and the guys from Sci-Fi FX were setting up the tent, getting their stuff together. A friend of mine, Todd Bodie, was out there, and then what's the guy's name? E.A. Daly or J.A. That's it. He's out there with his book, and also E.C. Woods, I think, is a friend of Chris's. She was there, so there were comic books, there were authors, and a lot of people out there. Things were going good. We stayed there for a little bit, listened a little bit to the podcast, took a few pictures. They had costume characters out on the street, waving at people, and Lily loved hanging out and watching them get ready. She didn't want to take pictures with any of them, but she liked watching them get ready. And we left there, went to Zeus Comics downtown off of Inwood. They had Peter Mayhew, Jimenez, I can't remember his first name. Phil Jimenez.
Phil Jimenez.
And a bunch of other artists out there. There was a gentleman from the R2-D2 Radio Control Builders Club, R2-D2 unit running around. The kid finally warmed up to it. I got a few pictures of her and R2-D2 hanging out. And we're walking around. We're getting ready to go see Peter Mayhew, and Darth Vader comes out of nowhere. And I swear the child backpedaled like Fred Flintstone. She didn't want to have anything to do with him. And it was, later on, it was, "Daddy, who was that black man?" And I was like, "Well, that was Darth Vader." And she goes, "Is he a good guy or a bad guy?" I said, "Well, he started out as a bad guy, and I guess in a way he kind of ended up as a good guy." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, death does that to you sometimes." And as we're driving away, I mean, we're halfway down the street from the store, and she goes, I want to take a picture with him. I'm like, oh, now you tell me. But we got to talk to Peter Mayhew, and she got a couple of his books autographed. She got a picture from him, but that was about all she wanted to have to do with him. And then we made our rounds over to Awesome Comics and run into you, Thomas. Good little crowd going on there. Some of the stores had a really good selection of comic books. In fact, Zeus Comics, they actually would put out so many at a time, and when they ran out, they would put out more at the top of the next hour. And I could kind of see that, of course, we were there for probably 30 minutes. So they were probably running out pretty quick. I can kind of see them doing that, making sure that they last throughout the day. But then there were some stores that didn't really seem to have as large a selection as the others. But we got our Tinkerbell and our My Little Pony, and of course she did get one superhero. She got the Batman comic, and so we got our picks. A lot of crowds. This is way more people than I'd seen at other free comic book days. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will breed more consumers for the industry down the line.
Yep. Yeah, I got over to Awesome Comics about 11:45. They had opened. They normally open at noon. Jake opened up at 11, and like I said, I got there at 11:45, and they were already swamped.
Yeah.
And it stayed that way till
right before you got there, James.
Yeah, till about 2.
Maybe, yeah. No, it was. Yeah, it had died down by the time you got there. It was crazy. I got there. It was, I don't know, 1:30.
You got there about 1:30.
And it was hopping still for a while.
And then it died down, but we left. What about 3:30, Mike? Around there.
Yeah.
It was starting to pick up again. So it's like they were getting their second wave, and
yeah, because I got there about 2:15, 2:30, and that's when it was kind of clearing out so we could get down through there.
Yeah.
That was the lull. And
yeah.
There were still people in there the whole time.
Mm.
Oh yeah, it was never just completely dead where there was no one in there.
Right.
It was a blast. I helped out a few customers, saw some old friends. Of course, I got a couple of books and actually got some great deals on some other stuff.
I actually picked up hardcover of Batman Year One, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've got it.
Mike, what was your impressions?
Like I said, that place was hopping. So obviously there was good turnout.
Yeah.
As far as the stuff that I picked up and have worked through some of it, and I was a little bit impressed. There was some stuff that I don't know if I got lucky and picked up the good stuff, but the stuff I picked up was nice.
Yeah.
There was some quality stuff happening there.
Yeah, I hadn't read all of them, but some of the stuff that I got, I was pretty impressed with what I read. Now some of the titles are actually ongoings now, and then some are going to be coming down the road.
Right.
One of them that I picked up, I don't know if y'all guys picked it up, was from Avatar Press, Absolution. That's written by Christos Gage, who was the writer on Adventurous Academy, which is one of the Marvel one of the Marvel titles I was reading.
Sorry, just gas.
until they canceled it, and then he's written some of the story arcs for Buffy. So I've liked his stuff. So that was my appeal to pick that up, and it looks good. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's supposed to be an ongoing coming here the next couple of months. But I was pretty impressed with what I read. It's a superhero title, but it's Um, I don't want. I really don't want to spoil it, but it's really good. Les, I know you weren't able to make it out to Awesome, but did you pick up anything?
I picked up a few issues prior, mainly because I was giving them to some kids. Make sure that I got that word out for kids to read, and I was greeted with great affection because of that. So I did notice in the Bleeding Cool comic book, or issue there for Free Comic Book Day, had a listing for values of previous Free Comic Book Day issues, and that kind of stunned me. Some of those were going for a pretty good price. So it's a little different to find this stuff out.
Yeah, because Bleeding Cool, I know. I assume they did it this year, and I just didn't see the story. But it seems like every year someone has put together the set, and then will put it on eBay for $40 or $50, and it'll sell.
Yes.
So,
what's one of the latest ones that's selling right now?
What I remember from a couple of years ago, there was, I'm sorry I don't remember the title, but there was one issue that was going for $35.
Wow!
And I was shocked, because this is a free comic, and there were millions of them across the nation.
So you mean the ones that I've bagged might actually have some value to them?
That's true.
See, I knew I wasn't just being anal retentive but bagging all my stuff. There was a method to my madness, even if I didn't know what it was.
Well, you were not the only one. I did the same thing, and I'm sure Thomas did, and Mike probably did too.
They just won't admit it.
Set them aside.
They're just not going to admit it.
For the record, I did not bag my free comic book.
I don't know if you have any bags or boards, do you, Mike?
I might have a few floating around here, but I don't. Yeah, no, I didn't bag the freebies. It didn't even occur to me.
Well, here's a question: have you witnessed anyone bum rush a kid just to get the last comic off the shelf?
Not me. No, I'm one of those that'll give it to the kid.
Sometimes I've been to some places where you'll see one or two of a certain issue left, and you'll see those people kind of eyeballing them. And I haven't seen anybody bum rush them yet, but it just makes me wonder if there's people out there that'll actually do that.
There are.
Yeah, unfortunately there are.
Last year.
We need a superhero league just for that.
Do you happen to remember what title that was, Les?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
How are we supposed to check our stuff if you don't write this thing down?
God, no kidding. Jeez.
Good night. Tip your waiters.
Enjoy the buffet.
If you'll give me a second, I'll go get it. It's right behind me somewhere.
What the buffet?
Yes, that too.
Bring me back a roll and a bowl of chocolate pudding, will you? Pass it to me.
Smart arses. Here we go. Here we go. Bleeding Cool.
Here we go now. Here we go now.
Hey. From last year,
Okay.
Transformers Regeneration is going for $13. Grim Fairy Tales is going for $13.
Sweet.
In 2010, Sixth Gun #1 is going for $35.
I think I have that one.
Bag it, board it, get it on eBay.
Sell that mofo.
2006, Scott Pilgrim and Stargate toy are both going for 30.
Nope.
So, I mean, not every title is going to be high dollar.
Yeah.
Right.
But $1.02 is more profit for a free comic book.
That's true.
I made $2 off it, but it cost me $3 to ship it.
Ba-dum-bum.
$1.50 in gas to drive up and get it.
Yep.
But that's not the point. I made $2.
Anything else there, Les?
Oh, just almost any title that they had out. Atomic Robo from last year is $2. From 2010, it's $5. Huh?
Actually, no. The 2010 is the one that I got. $5, man.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
At least going to college.
I'd rather have the book. I love Atomic Robo.
That is a fun read. That is just a simple, fun read.
Well, I tell you, pretty much all the titles from Red 5 are pretty good.
My wife thinks I'm
Avengers Age of Ultron from last year is going for 4.
Why does your wife think you're nuts, Mike?
Because I'll just sit there. I'll be sitting there on the couch flipping through those things and just start cracking up. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm reading a comic book. What do you want?" Jeez.
I just lied to her. I'm nuts, honey.
Nothing? Yeah. I wasn't laughing.
It's all in your mind.
So, you think it was a success? It seems to me it was.
I think it was for Awesome Comics anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, from all the stores that I went to, everybody was doing good business, and it wasn't just free comics. I mean, at Zeus, now, I saw a line from the register all the way to the back of the room, and everybody had stacks of comic books in their arms like that.
Yeah.
Now, how many of those were free comics, I'm not sure, but I still think they did good business. And comic book craze, they had a lot of people coming in and out. Everybody seemed to be doing good there. I kind of wanted to stop back by on the way home, but I had other things I needed to go do. And then even when I got there at 2:30 at Awesome, there were still people there in the store, and I gave them the business too. So I think it was a good day, and that's what I like to see, because when all the retailers are doing good business, that means they'll still be there tomorrow when I want to go back and get my stuff. So
yes,
shop local, you morons.
Okay. Next thing we want to go to, what we're hoping to do is start doing kind of a game segment every week, and we'll see how this works. I don't know, but tonight's game is going to be fill in the blank. So I'll give out a sentence. I've already sent this information to the guys, so they've already had time to kind of prepare an answer. So the first one is that chances are blank that Robert Downey Jr. returns as Tony Stark Iron Man. As you know, Iron Man 3 came out last weekend, and with that, Robert Downey Jr. has fulfilled his contract. He had a 3-year deal, a 3-picture deal, and that took care of the 2 Iron Man sequels and Avengers. So there's already been talk about him. I know Marvel Studios wants him back. They've already said that Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios president, has already said that Tony Stark will be in Avengers 2. Robert Downey Jr.'s been kind of he's been kind of what's the word? I think he wants to take some. Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't want anybody else to play the role, but he's not necessarily ready to jump back in and do the character again right this second. So let's start off with Mike. How would you feel? How would you fill in the blank?
I think chances are good that he will come. If we're talking about him coming back for Avengers 2, I think he'll do it. I think they'll talk him into it, or they'll dump a bunch of money on him or something. I mean, he's admitted himself that that role alone has been a huge resurgence for his career, and so I don't think he's going to just walk away from it. I mean, I kind of got the impression he was limping a little at this point. I read something about him breaking an ankle or something.
Oh yeah, it was the big slide down the gantry from the crane, and he.
Spoilers.
Oh, sorry. Oh, it was a stunt, and he didn't stick the landing. The landing stuck him.
Yeah. But I think he may only come back for A2, but he'll come back for A2. I'm sure of it.
Okay, less
is more.
I'm going to defer to James.
You can't copy me, man.
You want to phone a friend? What the hell?
50-50?
I don't think so. This is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Answer the question, sir.
The pressure.
Go ahead, James.
I really believe that, to me, there is not a viable option in Hollywood right now to take over that role. Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. He's taken that character, he's made it his own, and if you bring in anybody else to do it, they will have to channel Robert Downey Jr. And as far as Robert Downey Jr. actually signing on, I really think it comes down to money because he knows that he's got that role. And so I think he's just trying to milk it a little bit. And really, considering how much money they've made off these things, pay him the money. That's my take on it. And I think that in the end they'll come down and they'll pay him the money. So I think he's going to be back.
Less.
Yes, I think he'll just ask him to back the Brinks truck up to his vault and just start shoveling because he's going to get what he wants. I know in the article that you supplied us, he was saying that he's got Sherlock Holmes to worry about too, but I don't think that that's going to have the legs that this does. Mm-hmm. He's going to probably do 2 more Iron Man and 1, maybe even 2 Avengers. If they can get him a good script. Let's hope they can do that. You can't have something out there that's not going to have something to entice the viewers. And sometimes studios will toss something out there that is just crap. Now, if he does not return, obviously Christian Bale will be available, and he plays a smart-ass rich guy as it is, so...
Wow.
And that's what I have to say about it.
Now, the funny thing is, the first person that I thought of to replace him would be Johnny Depp, not Christian Bale. But
because Johnny Depp does everything.
If Johnny Depp can do what he did with the Jack Sparrow character, he could probably channel Robert Downey Jr.
He's probably the closest person to do it.
But he's channeling that. He's channeling Jack into the Lone Ranger.
We'll see. He's channeling Jack into Tonto, which is going to be even more interesting. We'll see. Let's wait for that movie to come out before we make an adjustment.
I kind of agree to a certain extent what y'all are saying. I think he'll definitely come back to do an Avengers 2. From what I've been hearing, an Iron Man 4 may be a long time off from now because they're busy trying to start up other franchises as well as continue the Captain America and Thor franchises and all that. So I think there will be a chance that there will be an Iron Man movie without him, but I think he'll definitely come back for one more movie, and that'll be Avengers 2, and then after that, who knows? All bets are off, in my opinion.
But the way I see it, if he leaves, then you're going to lose Gwyneth Paltrow. She's not going to want to do this because this is a different person.
Well, she's
or they
not.
may even say, well, if he does not come back, they may say, well, since Downey is not coming back, we're not going to need you either.
Well, here's the thing. Gwyneth Paltrow is already on record saying this is her last one because that's all she knows. That she was signed up to do 3 movies or 4 movies, and then that was it. She didn't think there's going to be an Iron Man 4. So, they can do an Iron Man movie without Pepper Potts and Happy Hogan. Tony has other supporting cast members than just those two. Just like Spider-Man can have a movie with Mary Jane Watson or Gwen Stacy, so.
I don't know. I think it was kind of interesting to. They really gave Don Cheadle and the Iron Patriot a lot more to work with in this show, and I really enjoyed that part of it. You get to see Colonel Rhodes as almost an equal to Tony Stark, and that was really, really cool. And then to see Pepper Potts pull up what she pulled.
Spoilers.
I'm watching. I would love to see her back. If not for the entire thing, at least one, just to kind of explore that option. So there's tons of opportunities there. That like you said, they are trying to branch out and cover phase 2, and that's got to be a daunting task. I can't imagine all the planning that goes into that. So
yeah.
I'm glad I'm not in that seat.
Woohoo! Well, there was even talk of possible Iron Patriot being in the Avengers sequel. So who knows? I mean, like I said, Kevin Feige said that Tony Stark will be in Avengers 2, but he didn't really say Iron Man. So who knows? They could just bring
he didn't say Robert Downey either.
True. That's true. So, but I think he wants to. I think everybody wants to get back. It's just a matter of, as y'all all mentioned, money, and then of course time. So, the second item, since we're already on Marvel properties as movies, the aforementioned Kevin Feige. I guess I'm pronouncing his name wrong, right? Wrong, right? Confirmed last week that the properties Blade, Daredevil, Ghost Rider, and Punisher have been brought back. They were with Sony or Fox or other studios, but they've been brought back in. So the fact that these movies have been brought back to Marvel Studios is blank. James.
I see them being properties for animated and TV. Of course, you've already had Blade tried out on TV, and I can't really speak as to how good that show was because I never saw it. What little trailers I saw, it didn't really interest me. I loved Wesley Snipes in the movies, except for number 3. Number 3 just never really gelled with me. But the first 2 I loved, and I can watch those over and over and over again. The Ghost Riders, never really got into those. And then, what was the other one? The Punisher. I didn't watch any of those. And it's just because I never really got into those characters. Now, that being said, again, looking back and seeing how past ones have played out, I would say that that's more TV and of course, everybody needs to jump on the bandwagon and think about web entities producing strictly for the web. You know, that's an open market. I would say that those would be great for that, for web and TV and animated. But as far as doing more movies, I wouldn't be looking at that right now.
Okay. I guess I'll just pass Les and go to Mikey.
You're passless?
Les seems to like to go last, so
yeah, I wonder why.
that's fine. My answer to my fill in the blank there is going to be I think them coming back to Marvel Studios is going to prove to be unimportant to a certain extent. Given the lack of success, I mean, the Blade movies were modestly successful, but there hasn't been any real success in any of those guys that they're talking about. And Marvel is so busy doing other larger stuff right now. They're going on the shelf. The guys, these guys, Blade, Daredevil, Punisher, Ghost Rider, they're going on a shelf for another 10 years, and we will not see them for at least 10 years until Marvel gets through with their big push right now. It doesn't make. I can't imagine any of them really showing up as background characters in the big stuff, unless they're going to do something weird with them that they've never done before, which I find hard to believe from one of the big two. But I don't see these guys doing anything with any of these characters in the near future.
Okay. Mr. Webster.
Do me a favor and reread the question, please.
Yeah, Alex, can you read the
No,
question?
I'm serious.
The fact that Blade, Daredevil, Ghost Rider, and the Punisher are back at Marvel Studios is...
I'm going to say good, but they would rather have the other 3 that they're missing. And
That's a good answer.
I think that I've got to go with Mike on this because I don't think these are going to be 3 entities that are going to show up on the screen anytime soon. I don't see that Ghost Rider nor Blade are really going to show up as a Saturday morning cartoon. And I don't know that Daredevil could be done on the big screen. I just think there was such an apathy for Daredevil, and then they tried twice with Punisher, and neither one really did all that well. Blade did have some people show up, and Ghost Rider, for some unknown reason, had some people show up, but that was probably because of Nicolas Cage. I say that I'm glad they do have the properties, but I don't think that they're going to be tossing them out in front of the public anytime soon.
Well, see, that's why I don't get up early enough on Saturday morning anyway. Because Blade is not a Saturday morning comic show. I mean, there's not enough Vampire's Blood and Captain Crunch to get me out of bed early on a Saturday morning. But if you make a Blade cartoon, I'm there. Easy as that.
You might see it on Adult Swim, maybe. But
well, see, that's what I meant. That's what I meant when I was saying animated. That to me, that would be the place to put it. Or look at all the Batman, Superman, Green Lantern videos that are coming out, DVDs. do it for that. You know, it's a great market. So slide it in there. You can't tell me that there's not a market out there that will at least support that.
There is a big market out there for it.
It is a good thing that they're back. It surprises me that Ghost Rider is back. That Sony, because remember the sequel just came out. Was it May? So we're talking about 15 months ago, and then it just bombed so badly that Sony just said, "Okay, we give up. You can have it back." After trying, trying twice and it didn't do well. I do kind of agree with what y'all are saying. They're not on the scope for Marvel Studios because they're busy. They've already got stuff planned out for at least the next 3 or 4 years. Now, James, what you were saying about doing web series is kind of intriguing because with the likes of Blade and Punisher, if it's a web series, then they can get away with doing things that they couldn't do on regular TV unless they're on cable TV.
Right.
Right. They can skip past the rating system.
Yeah, exactly. That's an intriguing thought. I hadn't thought about that. Daredevil. I figured Daredevil would have been a pretty good franchise. Yes, the movie had a lot of faults. It would have been nice if they had given it another chance, and then if that failed, then go, oh well. Quite honestly, that was, and I think it was Fox who had the rights to that. It was a matter of they just put it on the back burner for so long, and then when they realized that their time limit was running out, that they tried to do something and just could not make it happen. So they said, "Screw it."
Well, how much are they using the Elektra debacle? How much of that are they pinning on Daredevil? Honestly, I bet it's more than it's probably worth.
Who knows? I mean, that was the reason. That was the reason why Fox had the rights for so long, because Daredevil was 3 or 4 years prior to that, and it was supposedly a 7-year deal. Or so if they don't make a movie in 7 years, then the rights automatically go back. So supposedly he had a cameo in Elektra. I didn't see it because I didn't make it that far into the movie. Or it was either he made a cameo, or if it was just the fact that a character in the Daredevil franchise was used. I'm not sure how all that kind of works out. But because that movie was made, that the 7 years had been pushed back a little bit, and of course now the 7 years ended sometime. The time limit ended sometime last year, if I'm not mistaken.
The statute of limitations lapsed on that crime.
Yeah. So, I figured Daredevil could have been could be a pretty good franchise if it was handled right. It just depends on the tone, and obviously depends on the script, and depends on the actor, and there's a lot that has to go into it for it to happen. But
hey, maybe Christian Bale will be available, Les.
So who knows? There's been several people going, "Oh, we got these characters together, and now they can do the Marvel Knights thing." Which, for those who don't know, I guess it was back in the '90s. Marvel did a Knights imprint, and one of the books they did was called Marvel Knights, and it had like Daredevil, Punisher, Moon Knight, Black Widow, and some of the other solo characters that can work together, and maybe they can try to do a movie version of that. But it sounds like they're not. It's so far off the radar, just like y'all guys were saying, that don't expect anything soon unless they do an animated movie or try to do a TV series or I'm definitely intrigued about a show on the internet.
So I'm trying to think if there's a couple of others that have already been done, not necessarily from the big studios, but there's, you've got tons of independent folks doing web series that are doing fine, especially here in Dallas. A couple of the comic book shops, Stella B and the Busted Geek League. You've got the variants from Zeus Comics, but actually, the perfect example. What's the Star Trek? They do a Star Trek TV show on the web.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but I do know what you're talking about.
But it's like we said, you basically have full reign to do what you want to do within the grounds of decency and everything. But why wouldn't you want to explore your boundaries with something on the internet? Because there you don't have to worry about how many people actually get that channel. Look at how many people have access to the internet. Yeah. And so open that can of worms and test it out,
Well, I just thought of something too. What Marvel's been doing on the DVDs is doing these little shorts. Maybe a 15-minute short or something like that. Mm-hmm. that goes, because they've done a couple of them with Agent Coulson. They could do episodes that they can throw on a DVD in front with the movie. Mm-hmm. as a bonus feature, and maybe if there's enough enough interest that maybe they can put them together as a complete set, or go from there and do something either on a cable or whatever.
Well, what was the short that Thomas Jane did for Punisher, Laundry Day or something like that? That was a fan film that he did, more or less to show Marvel, hey, I'm kind of interested in doing Punisher again if y'all want to take the gamble. But even better, that was an amazing piece of video. It was. And that was just him. Just imagine if Marvel took that and decided to run with it, little 15, 20-minute episodes about once a week. How hard could that be? And that generates, you may not generate any revenue off of it except through advertising and stuff, but you're also generating interest in that property, and so it may work its way up to where you've got enough interest in making another movie.
You're building an audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your idea is a lot better than what I was coming. I was kind of going there, but you did a better job.
Well, Thomas, it's not a game or anything. Your idea was wonderful.
This actually is a game, people. Come on, man. I said this was called fill in the blank. That's a game.
So, well, your idea is a lot better, and I think that that's a lot more feasible. I think it would work. So that's it for fill in the blank for tonight. Was there anything in the past week that caught your eye, or anything you want to mention before we start trying to wind things up for the night?
Well, let's see here. I'll let Les go first.
Okay. Les Webster.
No.
He's not the best color man in baseball for nothing, folks.
Exactly. Fly ball caught.
Even Bob Uecker, passed out from the fifth of Jack Daniels, is still livelier than Les is.
It's going, and the shortstop has it.
For those of you who aren't sure the reference is from a movie called Major League back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
Saw it last weekend, man. I watch it every time.
It is awesome.
Yep.
Watched
Okay.
Slapshot the other day.
What?
I watched Slapshot.
Oh, another good movie. With the Hanson brothers.
The Hanson brothers.
Really, the only thing I've got coming from my end is, but that didn't sound right. Never mind. Back up.
Whoa!
Jeez, James, isn't that what you've been doing all night long?
TMI.
Tell me about it.
Oh, crap.
I nailed it on the head. No, this next weekend at the Texas Theater, they will be showing Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan in 35 millimeter at the Texas Theater. So, and that's all weekend.
Of course, to get you ready for Into Darkness.
That's right. So, all you younglings out there, that's been stuck in my head after hearing Darth Vader say it so many times at Zeus this past week.
Yeah.
All you youngins who've never seen Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan the way it should be seen, get over to Texas Theater and check it out.
Yeah, agreed.
Mikey?
The only real kind of like comic booky-ish news that I've heard lately that hasn't been mentioned yet is something I'm not going to say I'm thrilled about, and I know none of the rest of you give a flip. But apparently Comic Book Men has been approved for season 3.
Somebody did mention that the other day, and I'm like, what? Kevin Smith just threw another big wad of money at the TV.
What's your feelings about it, Les?
I think I broke Les's heart with that announcement. I don't know.
What's your feeling about that, Les?
There are a couple people I do enjoy on it. There are a couple people I enjoy on the show, but overall, it's a bore. It's staged.
Very, yeah.
What? You mean reality TV is not real?
Somebody slap him. Yeah, and me coming from a retail perspective, I watch that show and I'm like, oh, you guys are idiots. How are y'all still running? And the only reason that store is open is because Kevin Smith has got his money behind it. And it's basically a set. That's all it is. And I don't watch it. Sometimes I do like the little round tables that they have in the studio. Some of those can be fun, but I'm not going to wait through the entire show just to watch the round tables. So, sorry to hear that.
Well, you know, you can just TiVo it and then just speed through the.
It's not even that interesting.
Okay. Not worth the effort.
No.
Okay.
I was going to say they have podcasts. You could just listen to those, but.
Podcast? What's that?
I have no idea. I expect I'll find out very shortly. That's honestly the only reason I know is because of podcasts.
Okay.
I quit watching the show a ways back myself.
Okay. I don't have anything except for I know that we are getting closer and closer to Dallas Comic-Con. I know that they put out the schedule, the revised schedule last night, and I'm seeing the map, and oh my God, they are using every possible inch of that place.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, guys. I don't know if you saw this, but we will have 2 Q&A areas. You'll have the big one, obviously, on the 4th floor, but they're going to have a smaller one on the 3rd floor. So they'll have 2 Q&As going on at the same time.
Good.
So that's nice. I'm glad that they're doing that. They're changing it up. They're always working on it. They're always trying to improve it. And Ben, Mark, and them always do a great job. And I'm glad that they try to make it better because, it's always going to be a good experience for everybody involved, including the guests and more, and just as important as us, the convention going people. So. I'm looking forward to it. For those who live here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm sure you're aware of it. If you're not, it is. What is the web address again? Let me get real quick.
Isn't it like Sci-Fi Expo?
I think sci-fi. sci-fi.expo.com. Pretty good lineup. I noticed that we've already had a couple of cancellations, including Lynn Ween, who I was really wanting to get a couple of books autographed because I had found, and I already showed you guys this. I was wanting to take it to him, see what his reaction is. It's a couple of westerns that he wrote for Skywald Comics, a company that lasted about maybe 2 years. So I don't know if he's even thought about that company in forever. So I figured it might be a little
Entertaining for him.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's wrote Swamp Thing, and of course he's done some of the Before Watchmen recently, and he's written JLA stories and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure he sees that stuff all the time. So for something like this to show up, I figure it would be a treat for him. But maybe he'll be here in October. Who knows?
Let's hope so.
Yep. So, anything else before we close it out tonight?
Nothing for you.
Nope.
I think we've done enough damage.
I think we did enough to.
So say we all.
Thank you, Commander Adama. So with that, we wish you a good evening, and we will be back next week. We are now weekly. We hope.
Shudder in fear.
In theory, we will be back next week. We'll see how it goes. So, as always, check us out, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. We're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks, Twitter, Fellowship Geeks, Google Plus. We got the long ass number. I haven't memorized it. Screw it. Definitely check out the galaxycollegeDallas.com. Very great website there, and of course James is all over the social media as well.
Whether you like it or not.
Anybody else we want to plug here real quick? At Sci-Fi FX, the Matt and the guys have always supported us. It's scififx.com. scifix.com. Check out their website. They always do. They do a lot of podcasting, even if it's just book reviews or that kind of stuff. So check out check them out. So, with that, we bid you good evening, and we will see you next week.
Good night.
Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
That would have been great if y'all had done that in unison. Oh well, maybe next week.
It's better that we didn't, probably.
Okay. Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.